Most fighters earn millions and then lose it. The fight game has always been brutal, not just inside the cage, but outside of it too. For every champion who leaves the sport wealthy, there are countless others who walk away with nothing but scars and fading memories. The truth is, fighting careers are short. One injury, one loss, one bad decision, and everything can disappear overnight. For years, stories of fighters going broke after retirement have become almost as common as championship celebrations. Huge paydays, flashy lifestyles, expensive entourages. It can all disappear faster than it arrived. Some fighters earn more money in a single night than they ever imagined possible, and yet within a few years, that fortune is gone. But every once in a while, a fighter comes along who understands something deeper, someone who realizes that the real fight begins after the championship belts are gone. Georges St-Pierre was one of those rare fighters. Inside the Octagon, he was a tactical mastermind, a champion who dominated 2 divisions and built one of the greatest resumes in MMA history. Georges St-Pierre is widely regarded as one of the greatest mixed martial artists ever, winning championships at both welterweight and middleweight during his career. But what many people don't realize is that the same discipline that made him unbeatable in the cage is the same discipline that helped him protect and grow his money outside of it. While many fighters spent their paychecks on cars, parties, luxury watches, and expensive lifestyles, GSP was quietly building something else, a future. Georges St-Pierre didn't grow up wealthy. In fact, his childhood was far from easy. As a young kid in Quebec, he was bullied in school and turned to martial arts as a way to defend himself. Martial arts didn't just give him confidence, it gave him structure, it gave him purpose, and most importantly, it gave him discipline, a trait that would later define both his fighting career and his financial decisions. Through years of training, he learned that success doesn't come from shortcuts. It comes from consistency, patience, and preparation. When GSP eventually rose through the ranks of MMA and became one of the UFC's biggest stars, the money started flowing. Championship purses, pay-per-view shares, sponsorship deals, millions of dollars coming in from multiple directions. For many fighters, that kind of sudden wealth can be overwhelming. Without preparation, it's easy to make emotional decisions with money, luxury purchases, expensive entourages, high-risk investments. But GSP approached things differently. Instead of celebrating with reckless spending, he began studying the business side of the sport. He asked questions. He listened to financial experts. He paid attention to how successful athletes manage their careers outside competition. He surrounded himself with advisors, financial planners, and experienced entrepreneurs. And most importantly, he treated his finances the same way he treated his training camp, carefully, methodically, strategically. Every decision had a purpose. One of the smartest moves GSP made was understanding the power of his brand. Champions come and go in MMA, but reputation can last much longer. Instead of accepting random sponsorship deals for quick money, he chose partnerships that aligned with his identity as a disciplined, professional athlete. Over the years, he worked with major brands including Under Armour, Hayabusa, Electronic Arts, NOS Energy, and several other global companies, turning sponsorships into a steady stream of income outside the cage. These deals weren't just about putting logos on shorts. They were about long-term credibility. Companies weren't just paying for exposure. They were partnering with someone whose image represented discipline, professionalism, and trust. Because GSP maintained a respectful public image, avoided scandals, and carried himself with professionalism, companies trusted his brand. That trust translated in partnerships that continued even when he wasn't actively fighting. And that consistency helped turn his name into something bigger than just a fighter. It became a brand, investing beyond fighting. Unlike many fighters who rely only on fight purses, GSP began investing in multiple industries. So fitness and training became one of his biggest focuses. After all, his training methods were part of what made him one of the most dominant fighters in MMA history. Fans wanted to understand how he trained, how he prepared, and how he maintained his conditioning. So he turned that knowledge into business. He launched training programs and digital fitness platforms, giving fans access to his workout philosophy while creating a scalable business model that could grow far beyond the fight world. He also became involved in the fitness equipment industry, working with companies developing bodyweight training tools designed for athletes and home workouts. This allowed him to expand into the rapidly growing global fitness market, an industry worth billions of dollars. Outside of fitness, GSP explored partnerships across several different sectors. He collaborated with companies in wellness and health products, including serving as an ambassador and partner in recovery-focused brands connected to the expanding sports science industry. And he continued expanding his portfolio even further, moving into areas like clothing lines, supplements, and lifestyle products connected to the athletic world. Over time, these ventures created something extremely important: financial independence beyond fighting. In other words, he didn't rely on just one source of income. He built an ecosystem, multiple revenue streams working together to create long-term stability. What made GSP different wasn't just the investments themselves, it was the mindset behind them. While some fighters chase quick profits or short-term opportunities, GSP approached business the same way he approached fighting, through patience and preparation. He understood that success outside the cage requires the same discipline as success inside it. Instead of trying to control every detail himself, he partnered with experienced companies that understood industries like apparel, fitness equipment, and digital platforms. This approach allowed him to contribute his expertise and credibility, while experienced teams handled the complex operations behind the scenes. It's a strategy used by some of the most successful athlete entrepreneurs in the world. And for GSP, it worked. Even during periods when he wasn't competing, including his long break from the sport before returning to win the middleweight title, his financial foundation remained strong. His income didn't disappear. If anything, it diversified. Life after the Octagon. When Georges St-Pierre officially stepped away from fighting, many athletes would have struggled with the transition. For fighters whose identity revolves around competition, retirement can be one of the most difficult phases of life. But because of the foundation he built over years of smart financial decisions, GSP didn't need to rush back into fighting just to stay financially secure. Instead, he had the freedom to explore new opportunities. He appeared in film and television projects, expanded his business partnerships, and continued promoting fitness, discipline, and martial arts around the world. He also became involved in speaking engagements and educational initiatives where he shares lessons about mindset, discipline, and personal development. More importantly, he had the ability to choose what he wanted to do, rather than being forced into decisions by financial pressure. That freedom is something very few fighters achieve. The discipline that made him a champion inside the cage had turned him into something else outside of it. A long-term thinker. Powerful outro. In combat sports, careers are measured in rounds, 5 minutes at a time. But life after fighting lasts decades. And that's the lesson Georges St-Pierre understood better than most. Championship belts fade. Records get broken. New champions rise. But smart decisions, the kind made quietly behind the scenes, can last forever. GSP didn't just fight for victories. He fought for stability. He fought for longevity. And in doing so, he proved that the smartest move a fighter can make is planning for the day when the cage door finally closes. Because sometimes the greatest victory isn't the one you win inside the octagon. It's the life you build after it. And in that fight, Georges St-Pierre may have won the most important championship of all.